Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today I've got an awesome replay between the Vampire Coast versus the High Elves. You can see we're already getting underway here, so let's get straight to it. Nocti Boy plus another Necrofex. We've got a front line of a whole bunch of zombie mobs with polearms, regular zombie mobs with pistols. And we've also got the Black Spot, of course, a single unit of Scurvy Dogs. So yeah, 4 pistols. I believe there's, 5 halberds and 4 of the regular deckhands, which include the Tide of Skilled. For the High Elves, we've got some Illyrian Reavers scattered around, a couple units of Lothern Sea Guard, looks like, several units of archers as well, one of which already taken some heat from that Necrofex. We've got 2 bolt throwers, several supporting spearmen, handmaiden, as well as Techless. Very, very good stuff. And the Noble, of course, up on the Eagle, who has taken a face full of powder from the gunnery mobs right off the bat. You can see one of these archers already taken a lot of heat, but now that the bolt throwers are in range, they're going to start focus firing on this Necrofex right here. I'm going to try and counter-artillery the bolt throwers a little bit, but the Necrofex, especially out at the extreme end of their range, aren't quite going to be accurate enough to really finish this thing off fast enough. Plus, the archers are probably a bigger threat anyway, to be honest. You can see these Illyrian Reavers not really sure where to go. The gunner mobs here doing a great job just firing on that Noble. Only has 60 armor, so they can actually get some pretty effective fire, especially considering they are extremely cheap. Unfortunately, this Necrofex, though, getting focused very nicely by those 2 bolt throwers, only has 75 armor as well, so these High Elf archers, once they get up into range, can do some pretty effective damage. Of course, they're going to be taking some heat as well, but yeah, you can see both Nocti Boy and the other Necrofex going after the archers, of course. We're going to start to move the zombie gun mobs up a little bit as well and see if we can't get into a good range to fire. A lot of people still haven't realized that the Black Spot, their Regiment of Renown trait, of course, charge defense and anti-large and, you know, armor-piercing missiles, just honestly one of the best units on the roster in my opinion. A lot of people still don't realize that they're basically, you know, a halberd unit that can shoot. And those Illyrian Reavers are going to find out the hard way that is the case. Meanwhile, zombie gunnery mobs, unfortunately, don't really have the speed to pull away here, so I'm just going to leave them. Meanwhile, the Necrofex is going to try and pull back. If we can hit him with one more invocation, we might be able to stabilize, get a few more shots out of him at least. Techless calling down that fiery convocation. Looks like he actually took a huge volley from that gunnery mob running in there, but now that he's in there, you know, obviously Techless, despite the fact he's pretty weak in melee, can actually get some work done here, but those zombies actually shooting as they move away a little bit there. Melee engagement's going to be getting underway somewhat. I'm going to try and pull back the zombie gunners, but yeah, the Noble comes in here, and honestly, he's going to take a beating, especially because the Lamprey's Revenge, who I failed to mention earlier, are also in here. Zombie mobs starting to fight spearmen in the front line, and again, we're going to try and pull back the gunners to the top of the hill if I can. Some of them, unfortunately, bogged down by Illyrian Reavers, but that is going to allow the polearms to also get in here, poke them a little bit, get some work done. A most ignominious end for any High Elf to die to a zombie pirate, I'm sure. But at least in campaign, from what I've seen, Ulthuan tends to have big problems with the pirates, so I guess this is kind of a fitting thematic battle here, despite the fact that it's actually in the Badlands, but whatever. Let's ignore that fact for just a minute here as Techless takes some more heat from the pistols. You can see the zombie mobs just moving up across the board. I realized at this point my opponent's content to just sit back with the archers and try and finish me off with the bolt throwers and everything. And this Necrofex is about to go down here. Racked up 65 kills, not even close to half an XP chevron though, unfortunately. And yeah, Noble still just not able to find any super great targets in the back line. Zombie mobs doing their best to be arrow catchers as they slowly just meander on up the field here. We're also going to get Nocti Boy summon, start to shut down some of these archers as well. Honestly, probably should have saved that to try and shut down the bolt thrower, but yeah. Just wanted to shut these guys down because they were an immediate threat to Nocti Boy as he tries to push up here. Of course, he can fire while moving, so I'm going to try and kind of walk him around a little bit in this matchup, maybe provide a terror bomb as well. He doesn't necessarily have to be in melee as long as he's close by. The leadership is low enough, but unfortunately these High Elf Spearmen holding out just fine. A beautiful Flock of Doom there from Techless, getting a ton of value. It does a ton of damage against the high model count zombie units for how cheap of a spell it is. Unfortunately, Techless himself has taken a lot of damage at this point, and Nocti Boy is going to be in range here, especially with the zombie gunner mobs. You can see the crabs also pushing up through the front line as well. The Regiment of Renown Scions and Mathlon got finished off there, and it looks like the spearmen also going to be inundated by zombies. The archers just continuing to pour ammo all across the board here. But yep, we're going to go ahead and summon up another unit of zombie gunners here, and they're going to pop off shots as soon as they get out of the ground there, and try and finish off Techless here. Another beautiful Flock of Doom just generating a ton of value there, but fortunately Techless at this point is probably done for. He's going to come back here and try and finish off this gunnery mob, the Black Spot. Again, just doing a great job kind of anchoring this backline area, being really annoying for this Noble, for Techless, for everyone else. Meanwhile, on the front line, the inexorable, March of the Crabs pushing through the center line. Fortunately, the archers just don't have the AP values to take down the crabs, especially the Lamprey's Revenge with their regeneration and everything. These guys are going to be really tough to take down for just archers and so on. The bolt throwers very wisely are focused on Noctilus, but honestly, it was a little bit of a mistake to focus on the regular Necrofex rather than Noctilus. I definitely would say, and me and my opponent were in voice chat, we chatted a bit after the game, but definitely agreed that if he had focused on Noctilus from the beginning, it would have been a lot tougher for me. I might have been able to just pull him back and push my forces forward and still more or less come out with the same result. But still, zombie gunner mobs really showing their value here as they're able to get in position and start to gun down some of these archers. Just an absolutely excellent unit in several matchups. This one, I would say Dark Elves, you can also get a lot of great value from these pistol mobs. Pretty much any faction which has the potential to shoot back and also has a lot of high value, low armor type units. Wood Elves, High Elves, Dark Elves, all fall into that category, and all of them are relatively vulnerable to going wide as well, so it's quite fitting that these guys would be super good in this matchup. They're super cheap, do great damage against low armor targets. You can see them chasing off those archers there. We've got another zombie gunner mob in range to finish off the bolt thrower here, so yeah, definitely a huge fan of the pistol mobs. The handgun mobs as well are quite good. The other two zombie gunnery mobs are not the best. The bombs can do okay. The shotguns, I've heard, are good against monsters. I actually haven't tried them out much myself, but these guys certainly very cost-effective in a multitude of matchups, and it is going to be victory for the Vampire Coast over the High Elves there. Techless eventually falling. I think he actually also tried to charge the Black Spot, but yeah, just as a formal PSA, guys, don't charge the Black Spot with Cav. They have anti-large and charge defense, especially just like regular light cav. I mean, Illyrian Reavers are actually one of the better light cavalry units of the game as well. They have decent stats, and still, they just got wrecked by the Black Spot there. So, yeah, just be aware of that, guys. Be aware of that. 51 kills on Noctiboy himself, 71 for the regular Necrofex. Got focused very well by those bolt throwers, who, although they didn't rack up very many kills, still generated a ton of value. I mean, just, 1,400 points versus 1,800 points, just taking down the Necrofex. Very worth it in and of itself. That being said, like I mentioned, it probably would have been more worth it to go after Noctiboy in the beginning, but Techless getting a little bit over-aggressive there as well. I would have liked to see him maybe hang back a little bit closer to the bolt throwers and only come forward to cast spells and then run back, because coming forward like he did ended up taking a ton of damage from these super cheap gunnery mobs, which is just not great. The lack of leadership was an issue in the late game. The Noble on the Eagle, I mean, if you really want to bring an Eagle, you should probably just bring an Eagle and not take the Noble. I think the Noble's pretty worthless on the Eagle because he has low armor, he doesn't have AP, doesn't have anti-large. He loses a lot of what makes him good if you put him on the Eagle. I actually think if he had been on a horse, it would have worked out much, much better, because then he has that anti-large AP. If he gets into contact with Noctilus, he will do a lot more damage. Has 60 melee defense with martial prowess up, just a much, much better pick on the horse, I would say. Even in campaign, I really don't think, and I've harped on this before, but there's no reason ever to take the Noble on an Eagle, in my opinion. You guys may disagree with that, but I'm just saying, horse or chariot or go home. But yeah, 71 kills, 73 for the archers, 148 for the Lothran Sea Guard, 90 for these. You can definitely see that the archers are the biggest threat you're going to face as the Vampire Coast. If the High Elves go with a really heavy, strong infantry core, you can more or less crush it with your crabs and so on. But when they go super, shoot back, the High Elves are definitely one of the factions that can try and shoot back pretty effectively. Thankfully for me, I was able to outlast here, and a couple of mistakes by my opponent, especially pertaining to the Black Spot, was able to give me a favorable advantage there. But very fun battle, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Going to keep it going with more multiplayer content. By the time this goes out, I probably will have posted another episode of my head-to-head with Lore Master of Sotek. So for those of you who have missed that, it's Karak 8 Peaks. So I'm the Goblins versus Queek Headtaker. We're both racing to Karak 8 Peaks, so should be a lot of fun. Be sure to check that out. Yeah, and we'll see you next time.